All right, everybody, we are here at GenCon 2015 for the Doomtown Reloaded Marshal event. I'm Zach.
And I'm Tim. On the left here, we have David Hammond, and on the right, we have Nick Glazer, and they are both playing the fourth ring.
It's a circus up in here.
It's a clown's world. All right, so this is pretty representative of two of the strongest decks, I think. Fourth ring control is just super strong right now.
Is that on the left here?
It's both of them are fourth ring. I'm sure.
Okay. I didn't know if there were variations. You're saying the two different things.
I mean, it's just what they do. Like paralysis mark there. It's just good.
All right, so they are playing low ball for the first time. Worst hand wins.
Two pair, trips. 2-pair wins.
All right, worst hand gonna get each player has to ante up a ghost rock, which is a money in this game, and the loser of low ball at the beginning of each round, you flip the top 5 cards of your deck up. The worst hand wins, gets initiative.
The loser is the winner.
Yeah, gets initiative and gets the ghost rock that both players anteed. So, can you run me down really quick the starting posses for these two sides and what makes them different? Because they're running the same outfit, which in a lot of games that would mean a very similar deck, but that is not the case from what I gather.
For sure. David on the left here, he is running Travis Moon, which is the grifter that we all know and love. Let you reshuffle your hand, which is just so he can guarantee to get a hex.
Okay.
That's his idea.
So he can mulligan.
Yes.
To make sure he's getting the hex.
And both players are running that. Then that's whenever things really start to get different.
So everything else.
Yeah. On the left, Mr. Hammond here has the Brute, who is a 2-cost 0 upkeep 4 spades that essentially is just bullet fodder. You can ace him, and it's going to cover 4 casualties, which is huge. It's just like a little bit of a security blanket between you and death. Then he is also running Jake Smiley, which is just 2 influence for super cheap. It's great. It's awesome. It's what you want. And then he has Leon, who is a paralysis mark on a stick, which lets you... He boots himself and then performs a huckster check against the value of a dude at his or an adjacent location. And then if successful, you boot them, which is so good. And then he also has Mrs. Batten there, Valeria, another huckster that is a stud, which is great. She can invent mystical goods, which does not matter. She's a huckster with a silver bullet. That's what she does. On the right, we have Nick. He is also running Valeria, Leon, and Travis. But the biggest difference is he's running Arnold McCavendish.
Okay, what's he do?
All right, Arnold is a staple from the core set that everyone was running in fourth ring.
Which we see here, right? So at any point in the game, you can boot a dude to move him to any location.
You can.
So Arnold booted early on to move to the Circle M Ranch that had been played by David.
Correct.
So tell me about Arnold real quick.
Okay, so Arnold, he essentially, whenever a dude is discarded during a casualty, or as a casualty, you can boot him and pull. And if the pull is higher than the dude's value...
And the value is their whatever is on the top left of the card, right? So
6 of spades.
And 8 of spades is the value is an 8.
Correct. If it's higher, they go home booted instead.
Okay, so like if you were going to kill Stephen Wiles here, if you were going to discard him from a casualty, you could boot Arnold, do a check, discard the top card of your deck. As long as it's higher than an 8, Stephen would go home booted instead. If it's a 9 or higher, he goes home booted instead. That seems really good.
It's very good.
Especially in these decks, which I think tend to have a higher value curve inside their deck.
So
you're rarely going to miss, if ever.
Yes. Both of these decks are running a very similar structure. Lots of queens, lots of jacks. And then that's where things change. David on the left is running 8s. And then Nick on the right is running 10s, I believe.
Okay, and so this is fundamental to the structure of Doomtown, really. Because basically, the values of the cards that you want access to and lining them up across the different suits and the different types of cards is really important. So what cards really do you think made these two players choose 8s or 10s, respectively? Like, are there particular things that it's like, I'm playing 8s because of this card right here?
Well, the reason to play 8 in fourth ring, well, both of them are playing 8s, I'm sure, because I can see 8s on both sides already.
Absolutely.
But the 8 that is the creme de la creme of 8s is Paralysis Mark, which essentially just lets you boot opponent's dudes for a huckster check.
So Paralysis Mark is a hex that you attach to a
huckster,
and it lets you boot it to boot someone at or at an adjacent location.
Yes, by the same thing as Leon. You pull if it's higher than their value. It's just ludicrous.
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, it's the whole game of Doomtown.
The fourth ring, their ability, right? It's when you can react boot after you've done a successful hex.
While not at home, you can discard a card to draw a card and gain a money.
Which is really strong.
It's probably the strongest outfit ability.
Yeah, and so just to be clear here, if you're watching and you haven't played much Doomtown, you win the game by having more control points, which are the blue chips. You'll see them passing around on the table. then your opponent has influence over the town, which is the red chips. So you're basically trying to get more blue than your opponent has red. As you can see, the location, like the Circle M Ranch that got played early on, has one control point, and whoever has more influence at that location has control of that control point.
And at the end of the round, you win.
Yep. So at the end of each round, you're doing a check to see if you have more influence than your opponent has, or control than your opponent has influence, and if so, you win.
Yep. All right, so we have a shootout happening here at the Circle M Ranch.
Yep.
This is a very aggressive start for Nick on the right. So he is just going into his opponent's deed, taking control of it, and saying, "You have to answer me."
You must answer me.
And so David tried, and then now he's forming a posse with everybody. It's like, this could be the game.
Wow.
This could literally be game.
Yeah, and this is I say a lot. We've done some unboxings for Doomtown, and I've never run into a game where you literally first turn you can just lose. And like, this is it, right? Like, all of David's guys are in this shootout. Every last one of them. So if this goes poorly enough,
it's over.
You have no influence. Your opponent has control points. See you next week.
Yeah. Stephen Wiles coming in 3-stud with the Carter's Bounty is huge here.
Yeah, one thing I want to note really quick, the finals here at the Marshal event are best of 3. So these players are going to have to play at least 2 games. Now on the shootout here, break down the shootout for me here. What's going on? Why are they drawing all these cards? How's it work?
All right, so essentially in a shootout, you will always draw 5 cards, no matter what.
That's the foundation.
That's the foundation.
All right.
And then, if you notice, on each of those dudes, there is a bullet and then a number inside of that bullet.
All right.
Based on the numbers inside of that bullet and the color of those bullets, determines how many extra cards you get to draw and how many cards you can discard and draw back up.
Okay, so you start at 5, and the silver bullets, which are called studs, for each one of those, you get to draw an extra card?
Correct. And then for the brass bullets, you get to discard a card to draw one.
And draw back up. Now, there is a particular rule. When you're going into a shootout, you choose a lead shooter, and then everyone else is supporting. So no matter what the value on a bullet for any supporting shooter, it only ever counts as 1.
Even if it's 0.
Even if it's 0, but it could also
changes to 1.
If it was 5, it would only count as 1.
Correct.
So in this case, if you're leading with Stephen Wiles, you get 3 extra cards. Val's going to give you an extra card from her 0. Travis is going to give you an extra draw, and Arnold's going to give you an extra draw.
Well, Arnold's not in the shootout.
Oh, he's just hanging out.
So we have a cheating full house to a legal full house
with the Joker's Wild.
That is similar.
Full houses, but you have jacks.
Or no, that's a legal full house. They're both legal.
Okay.
So they each take a casualty.
All right, and they're both getting rid of Travis. Surprise, surprise!
That's
here.
not surprising anybody.
Yeah, he's kind of already done his thing, right? Which is whether
And then now, after this round of the shootout, Zach, there are decisions to be made.
Yeah.
So David on the left could just say, "I'm gonna go home with all my dudes. I'm out. You can have that deed for now."
Who chooses to stay, or
the loser?
The loser chooses whether they want to stay in the shootout or not first.
Which the loser of that round was David because he had a lower full house.
Okay, and then the winner, after the other player chooses, assuming the other player chooses to stay, has also the option to go home.
They just go home booted. Yeah.
All right, David getting out of there, not willing. He already lost 1, and not really willing to risk the game there.
Right, and I think that's completely fair. He was willing to risk the game to save Leon, but now that Leon's safe, he's out.
All right, and as you can see, Nick has 2 control points. He has his own Carter's Bounties, top right, and he has control right now of the Circle M Ranch because he has more influence there than David does.
Yep, which is 0.
So currently sitting at 2 points. His opponent has 3 influence over the town, though, so he has not won the hearts and minds of the city just yet.
It's also worth noting that David's going to have 5 influence at sundown because of Jake Smiley.
Aha! That seems good.
And then they both pass after he gets his pull.
All right, so that's the end of the round, right?
I would have considered moving. Or no, he was booted.
Everything's going to unboot, and each player has a choice to discard a card.
And then draw back up to their hand size. Yeah. Yep. Which is 5 base.
And then we'll be right back around to low
ball.
ball.
You're going to play some more low ball.
Yeah.
And that's the whole game of Doomtown, ladies and gentlemen. You just keep doing this until somebody wins.
Until somebody wins.
It's that simple, Zach.
There's so much going on here. It's bonkers.
So we got 2 pair on the right. 2
pair with queens high.
2 pair.
Man, winning low ball is critical. Not only is it getting you the extra ghost rock here and not giving your opponent the ghost rock, But having initiative for a lot of those actions, and
It's so huge in this deck.
it's so important.
Especially because Nick is running Unprepared in his deck, which David is not. And Unprepared is
Spoiler.
bonkers
What's Unprepared do?
against David's deck. So Unprepared is a shootout action. It's a 10 of clubs. And you play it, you choose a dude, you boot that dude, and all attached goods, or all attached cards, and they lose all traits,
Wow.
and they get -1 bullet.
That's really strong.
But so you can just boot the huckster and all of his hexes. No hexes for you.
That's crazy.
It's so good.
And we see here Nick using Forget, and I think he's using it primarily so he can use his outfit ability to discard a card, draw a card, and gain a Ghost Strike. He discarded a Joker, getting
he's
that back
also
into his
getting
deck.
rid of Leon's ability, which is huge.
Leon. Pretty good.
So there's some sort of discussion going on about discarding? I don't know. Or maybe they're just trying to noon action.
I think he's just trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life here. See Paralysis Mark.
Yeah, that's going on.
That card gives me nightmares.
It's one of the best cards in the game, if not the... Boom! Double Paralysis Mark. Woo. We got a game, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and it's such a... just almost like a game of chess, where there's just these pieces being put into play and they're moving back and forth. And it's like, you don't want... like, what's the timing on using Paralysis Mark here? A lot of times I feel like people would just want to go ahead and use it on like a really good dude. But you never know what your opponent's going to play, particularly if you look at Nick's fat stack of Ghost Rock right now.
He's got some money over there. I think it's all situational. It just depends. Paralysis marking Arnold is a huge thing here.
Yep, so he can't boot to save.
Ace and the Joker. It's also worth noting that David is running...
I want to explain that interaction there really quick. Did the Paralysis Mark, did the check, Joker came up. Anytime you would use a Joker, the Joker goes to...
It gets aced.
It gets aced, so it goes to Boot Hill.
It goes to Boot Hill.
That means it's out of the game, out of the deck. Anyways, continue.
What I was going to say is another thing that David has going for him is Phantasm. Phantasm is a hex that is not being used a lot in most... it is now.
Tell me more.
No, but it has two different noon actions on it. One is a 9 and one is a 12 hex value.
All right.
And the 9 lets you choose an unbooted dude at this or an adjacent location and move them to another adjacent location without booting, which is huge.
So you're just moving yours or your opponent's dudes around.
Which he's about to do right now. So he's going to choose Arnold, I think, is who he said.
You're singling him out.
And he's going to move him to his home.
Moving Arnold home or to his own home.
But the problem with him doing that is that he can't choose Arnold because he's not adjacent or at the same location. Because the second hex is a hex 12, and that lets you move booted dudes.
So he's moving Val.
Yeah,
to
Val should be
his
booted
home.
right now.
Why should she be booted?
Because Arnold Paralysis marked him.
Oh. So nothing happened there.
Yeah, well, now Valeria's booted. So he essentially moved Valeria to his home, and then Valeria booted away.
Okay, gotcha.
Because the next action was going to be call out Valeria.
Yeah, with all your dudes at your home.
Mm-hmm.
Seems okay.
It is okay.
And Nick, you're really locking down that Circle M Ranch.
You just spent a lot of money. What is that on?
Bugatti.
Oh, Max Bane.
Tell me about Max. Why does it cost 6?
He shouldn't. No, I'm just kidding.
2 influence. That seems all right. One draw. Nothing to write home about.
He's just a good dude. He's just a good dude.
You know, just a quality dude.
He no longer works for the Morgan Cattle Company, so that's nice. Ooh.
Max Bane coming
What's
in
happening?
there.
They're going crazy over here.
It's just piling in.
I feel like something bad's about to happen, Zach. I feel like some bullets are going to fly here.
I don't know, though. And also worth noting on these deeds, you'll see in the bottom right a plus Ghost Rock value. So if you own it, which means you're the player that played the deed, and you control it, which is not currently the case, it generates that many Ghost Rock for you during that part of the game. So part of this is the control point, I think, but maybe more than anything is just denying Ghost Rock.
It's big.
And the ability on the Circle M Ranch, right?
Right. it's a pretty good ability.
Yeah, because whoever controls the location typically is the one that can use the ability, which can be really, really good.
I'm pretty sure that's exclusive. There's no deeds that's not the case.
I didn't know.
There's no owner deeds.
Who knows? Who knows what they're going to
There might be, but I don't think there are any yet.
Yet.
So we got a game of Thinktown happening here.
Thinktown Reloaded.
Oh, Leon's calling him out. Boom.
All right. Leo going to get joined by...
Jake and the Brute.
Yeah.
Or no,
just the Brute. I can see that.
So he is 5 draw 2 right now to 6 draw 2.
Which is not terrible.
This is a pretty even sheet out.
Especially... So, I don't know. Do you think do you think David should make this play?
I don't think it's bad.
All right.
I
think we have the other Leo
joining the party. I think he has a trick in his hand of some sort.
I would think so.
At least one. He probably hasn't. It's not what you know.
And that said, though, I mean, this is part of what makes Doomtown so cool is that even if the odds are against you, let's say you have a 15% chance of winning this shootout here, you have a lot less at stake.
It's true.
So if your opponent just gets a weird hand and you get a good one, or they cheat and you have a cheating punishment card, it can go really bad for you really quickly.
So here's the thing about Doomtown, Zach. Cheating is bad.
Cheating's real bad.
Like
when you get caught cheating and they have an answer,
sometimes you can cheat and you get away with it. That's fine. But whenever you don't get away with it, it is the worst.
For sure.
Just bad things happen, Zach. You listening to me, Zach?
I'm
bad
listening.
Things.
Now, I will note that at worst, even if this goes poorly on David's part, Nick is all sorts of positioned up in the Circle M Ranch.
Yeah.
Which, from a positioning standpoint, is real good.
It's good for David.
Yeah. All right, full house. Looks like cheating 4 of a kind.
To a cheating full house.
It's a cheating 4 of a kind,
this
too.
This will hurt in the morning.
What's that do?
So essentially, Nick is going to be able to choose 2 cards, and they get discarded.
Oh, geez.
And then he replaces them with the top 2.
All right, this is not looking so splendid. 2 pair.
To a cheating full house.
All right, let's see if David has any cheating cards here. I think he does.
Yeah, this hurt in the morning is a very good card. If it was legal, if Nick had been a legal hand, he aces those cards instead that he replaces.
Wow.
But you can pay a money to keep them from being aced. He's playing Hexling to raise his hand rank by 2.
All right, so he discards a Hex to raise his hand rank by 2, which is really just awesome.
Yep, and so he aced the Brute. And he goes home.
Because the Brute's an abomination, right?
Oof. Yeah. Well, not abomination. He just has his ability.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine. This is a fine trade. It's really a bummer to lose your paralysis mark, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I feel like David's on his heels here a little bit.
He is definitely on his heels here.
Nick came to town ready to party, and has been up in David's grill this whole time. It's really cool to see 2 very similar decks, not so similar and playing very differently.
Yeah. The only other thing, it feels like he's on his heels, but he still has 5 influence at sundown, and there's only 2 control points on the board. This game is far from over.
It's a long road.
It's a long, winding road.
It's really hard for me not to sing that song right now.
Go for it, Zach. Sing your heart
out. All
out.
right, we are back to Lowball City.
So we got a Jack and a Queen on the right there, which is fine. He's probably going to draw at least one of them again.
Yeah. But
I will say that both of these decks are not lowball decks.
For sure. They have really good hands, right?
And I think they're fairly tight draw structures.
Nick here economically in the advantage because he has a bunch of income happening. So he doesn't need to win lowball really. Whereas I feel like David could really, really benefit from winning the lowball. Jeez. 4 of a kind.
4 of a kind. Oh.
He's getting the good cards at the wrong time. You know what I mean?
That's one of the things about having such a tight draw structure. It's just sometimes you just hit them, and then sometimes you don't. At least whenever you're going for straight flushes, it's I probably shouldn't have got one anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to run the deck I've run the most is aces to 8s, going for straight flushes, and so I'm usually pretty good at low ball. And against a 4-3 deck, it's almost guaranteed low ball wins. Although sometimes it's not. When you low ball a straight flush, it is infuriating. All right, paralysis
So now
mark.
we are seeing why we call this deck fourth ring control.
That's not even paralysis mark. That's just Leo
No,
on a stick.
it's just Leon. It's just Leon.
I like calling him Leo for some reason.
Well, you're allowed to do that, Zach. So, one of David's 3 dudes are booted right now. And
So
guess
is
what's
one
about
of
to
Nick's.
happen?
Another one's getting
Another
booted.
one's getting booted.
Yeah, and without the income that Nick's been denying him this whole time, he can't get enough dudes on the board to get past the control. Right? I mean, we've seen this in every game from here to
classic control versus
sundown,
control game.
which is lovely. I've been playing aggro Sloan style decks, and to see a control deck like this really taking root's cool to watch. When I'm not the guy across the table.
Yeah, that's for sure. So,
For sure.
that's for sure. Ooh, Pat's Perch.
There it is.
It's just a little money hanging
That's
out
exactly
uptown.
what you need, actually.
Oh,
God.
oh.
That's just vomit.
Guess what card's really good, Zach?
Paralysis mark. What are the options here for getting rid of a paralysis mark other than acing that dude?
There are none.
Ugh. Disgusting.
You could hope he pitches it to Hexlingen, which he won't.
That's what Arnaldo's for.
Ah, the flying Pepescus. You're laughing. That's the name.
No, I'm not laughing because I don't believe you. I'm laughing because it's great.
They're just in the circus.
Just denial. Just denial, man. It's like I don't even need Pat's Perch. I literally am just going to deny you all your money.
Which is a completely valid strategy.
Yeah, it's control, right? You're denying dudes by booting them, and you're denying money, so you can't play more dudes, and you can't do anything about it. Here comes...
And then he just uses your ranch. He just comes in and uses your ranch.
There's so much that just feels incredibly painful about that.
And then they go to sundown.
All right. So I guess at this point, Nick is just looking for deeds.
Yeah, he's just trying to get more control points.
How many deeds are typical use in to see having this kind of a deck?
I mean, at least 12. No.
Really?
I mean, it just depends on your draw structure.
Like, what do you think the odds here of him drawing a deed to play are?
Well,
Boom. Looks like the best low ball yet on David's side.
was that a pair?
Well, the worst low ball yet, I
Yeah.
guess, which is also the best. So he's going to now be the first player and have a little bit of Ghost Rock to go around. He's got some stuff to do here, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. What he really wants
Tell me what he wants.
is a paralysis mark.
Yeah, he had one earlier, and he risked it.
Well, he had to, or else he loses it anyways,
Yeah.
because Leon dies.
It's a problem.
Yeah, it's the classic conundrum of, do I want this
Well,
guy?
he didn't
or
have
this guy
to-
and
He didn't have to, though, because he didn't have to be in that shootout
well,
necessarily, is what I'm
yeah,
saying.
but he thought his odds were pretty good.
Hey now. Hey now, hey.
You're a rock star.
Paralysis mark. That card's so good.
It's a very good card.
Yeah, here we go. Hey, he got a queen.
Hey, who'd have thought? So the real combo of David's deck here is Phantasm Paralysis Mark.
Which is what we now have in place.
Yeah, he can move people and boot them, or boot them and move them, and it's just annoying.
All right, so paralysis mark coming in. That's so disgusting.
It's really, really good. Turns
Now,
out if you're booted, you can't move.
Should David have used Leo there before paralysis mark could set in?
It depends on what he is trying to do here.
Like if he's trying to get Nick to use his paralysis marks?
Yes, sure. Or if he really wants to move him to his home, boot him, and then call him out. Because he needs Jake to be up to call out.
Aha. All right.
It all depends on how many moves ahead he's thinking and how
I
much
see
he
that now.
wants to try to do that.
Because if you can get Val off the table, you're feeling okay here.
You're probably winning the game.
Yeah. Wild. Wild. It's a wild game. It's a Wild West. This is so crazy. So this game will ultimately be determined. Is Jake at Circle M or is he at home?
I think he's at home.
This game literally is like a dude away on either side from being over. Really.
Sort of. I mean, Nick does have a ton of influence on the board.
But like once that control hold is like off your back, you can start to really operate on David's side.
For sure. If he can get rid of that, he can actually play the game.
All right, booting Arnaldo.
And then Arnold boots home.
Yep. Or moving Arnold to
Yeah.
the thing, and Arnold goes home. So now Arnold can't save, which is good. I feel like David here could use a man by the name of Steven.
He would not be upset at seeing Steven here.
Yeah. Cruises in and takes some shots.
He would not mind seeing that right now.
The whole flavor of Stephen Wiles is incredible for me.
Yeah. Have you seen the alt art?
Yeah, from the deputy event.
Mm-hmm. It's real pretty.
Looks real good. Love all the alt arts.
David's in a real pickle here, Zach.
It's certainly not his game to lose at this point.
Yeah.
He's got to go out and win it. Nick is at a point, I feel like, where he can actively lose the game for himself. All right. Another control point.
St. Anthony's Church.
But I think more important than anything, it's just more stuff that if Nick really wants to control you, he's got to cover up.
Ah, the tax office.
Uh-oh.
That is one of the best deeds in the game, Zach.
There are a lot of points on the board. By a lot, I mean 4.
It's 4. Not enough for a win yet on either side.
But it's close.
It's getting there.
Oh, man. This is tense.
Sinktown rethinked.
Yeah. And, you just sit there and you're looking at the board and it's like, how do I possibly get out of this corner that
And
I'm
then
in?
he takes it.
Which is fine. You're just dividing up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I like even sending Jake over now and calling out old chick face.
I think that he's
Val.
going to have to do that.
Yeah.
Or he goes over and calls out Max.
And then you potentially have some cheat penalty card in your hand, right? You hope they have
possible.
to cheat.
Like, he just needs to get a dude off the board here.
I'm the kind of player that would go right for Val when I could, when it was feasible. And it's becoming
Val,
feasible right now.
And what I think he's probably checking right now is how many hex slingings he's seen.
Because if there's hex slingings in the hands, she's so protected,
She's
it's wild.
If she's got 2 hex slingings, she's got 4 ranks of protection.
Yeah, it's a problem. All right, let's see what happens. Blood curse.
Successful. So she's minus a bullet and minus an influence. She doesn't have any bullets, though, so it doesn't really matter in that part.
Is the 0 influence going to matter?
It could. He could move Jake and take over that deed for Sundown. But they're just passing.
So he was just doing it to do it.
Well, just prepare him.
A distinct lack of the use of the 4th ring outfit by David this game.
Well,
All his dudes
he's been stuck
hanging
at home. Yeah. It's he's been controlled.
You don't want to be stuck at home.
Playing some low balls, Zach.
All right. I feel like this could be a particularly important low ball.
Pair of 10s.
That seems pretty good for old Nick.
Full
Jesus.
house. Legal full house.
That's so wild, man.
Why is it wild?
It's just wild because he gets an incredible hand in 5 cards. And like his best, that was his best hand when he was drawing like 8 discarding
He had
cards.
4 of a kind earlier.
Did he? Oh, and then the guy had the cheating penalty.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, not so wild, but it's kind of wild. Still a little wild.
I hear you. I hear you. I'm smelling what you're stepping in.
Paralysis mark's so good, man.
It's very good. And it's not only is it
Trigger the
paralysis mark,
ability,
but it's
get
gain
a
of money,
card,
draw a card,
gain of
paralysis
money.
mark.
Vomit. In a good kind of way.
Yeah, for sure.
The circus. You just had a little too much cotton candy.
A little too much cotton candy.
Saw some creature you weren't ready for.
Blood curse could be huge here.
There's nothing like getting booted down every turn.
Yeah, and now that the tax office is out, you can't even play Steven anymore.
What's
The tax office, it comes into play booted, so you can't use it the turn it comes into play.
All right.
But you boot it and choose a dude, and the controller has to pay that dude's upkeep right now or discard them. And then if they pay it the next sundown phase or upkeep phase, they don't have to pay it.
That's a problem for Steven
It
Wiles,
is an
though.
anti-Steven Wiles card.
Yeah. Oh, there goes the other Joker. See you next week.
Yeah, forgetting Leon though, so that's good. He can't boot.
How could you forget Leon?
Hey-o. That's a pun.
Is that really a pun?
Sure. Counts. Uh-oh.
Oh, baby. Circle M Ranch, part 2.
It's got double circle M's here.
Part deuce.
How about Circle M being one of the best cards ever?
Yeah, three Ghost Rock for a control point, 2 influence, or two Ghost Rock generating, and then that ability is real good.
Card draw is king. That's what they say, right?
Someone said it.
That's what I say.
I don't know.
It's paralysis marking max.
Got rid of that other paralysis mark. He could use about 12 of those.
You're not allowed to use 12 of them. He failed the paralysis mark, though. That's a bummer.
That is a bummer.
Not only did he get rid of a paralysis mark, he failed it, too.
Yeah, that's the worst of all worlds. All right, blue didn't move back. Gonna keep that control point.
Is he just going to go over there with Jake and do it? Oh, no. He's just playing. He's just waiting. He's waiting until he has to do something.
Yep. He's not in that position yet. Going to Sundown here. 5 control points on Nick's side to 5 influence on David's side. So we're right there on the cusp of really David having to do something real. So we'll see what happens. Low ball again. There it is. That's what you want. Trips. Oh, jeez.
That's not what you want.
Yeah.
It's like his chance.
I think he needs a turn where he has first action. And he needs that money. Income. Yeah. It's a problem.
It's just the worst.
Look at all that. Look at that fat stack.
He's got money for days.
Ugh. Disgusting. He had to upgrade a chip. I don't even know how many chips he's got anymore.
I would say 15-ish.
He can do it all. He's almost out of deck here, too.
I mean, he shuffles.
Yeah.
Leon's booted. Just moving Valeria over.
Makes sense.
Discarding Hexling. What a strange maneuver.
All right. There's stuff's about to go down.
It's not inaccurate. So he's probably going to Phantasm Leon
to get him out,
to go to home.
To get a one-on-one here.
So he needs a jack here. Got it.
Nail it. Woo! Nice. Nice. Taking the Circle M Ranch back. Yep.
And then Arnold takes it back. So now he's going to call out Leon.
Yeah, for sure. One-on-one with Leon here.
I assume. That's what I would consider doing. Before Valeria has a chance to paralysis mark Jake. He's probably just making sure that's what he wants to do.
Tough choice.
I think you have to right now. Like, if you can get Leon off the board,
yeah,
it gets rid of one of the boots. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, man.
Now he's just going to paralysis mark him.
Yep.
Which is fine. Because next turn, but...
Next turn is his turn. If assuming Nick doesn't play another location here to just a deed to win, this next turn is really it, right?
Yeah. He can also play another dude, potentially. Because Smiling Tom's not coming out of this game. Oh. Steven is a good dude.
Stephen Wild's about to come to town. You know what I mean?
I do, Zach.
I feel like he can come over and get some clean up on Circle M Isle.
Circle Mile? Yeah, no, he can come and potentially decimate Valeria and Jake. Potentially. He's thinking about playing somebody, but he can't.
Is it the game?
Oh, not you. Oh, just this guy.
Is it the game? If he just basically plays a control point, he gets it, right?
Well, yeah, he's going to have one, though.
Yeah. All right.
Bummer.
Blood curse.
Card wins games. Now it's game because it's negative a point.
So he has to.
Now he needs to tax off his ticks. Ticks gets discarded.
Sitting there keeping it in mind the whole time, and I just.
Oh man.
So he just spent 4 money for no reason. That's a bummer.
I mean, I don't think he has a way out though, right?
Well, I mean, you just can't play ticks there.
But aren't you already losing? Isn't that what you just said?
Well, that's fair. Just hope he forgets.
All right, that's the game. A huge congrats to Nick on winning game 1. What a brutal coming out of the gates, just holding the game in his palms. Congrats. We'll catch you guys in game 2 of the Marshal event finals from GenCon 2015. Thanks for watching.
See you guys there.